Hey everyone, how is it going today? I am here to demonstrate exactly how the particulate sensor is going to function on our specialized equipment here, which is the NOx Tester Box, right? As you have already seen in the previous edition video, we covered how to connect the equipment. Once again, just as a quick reminder, whenever you are going to read a sensor, make sure to use the input then, okay? The input that's labeled before, it will only be used if it's necessary to read the catalytic efficiency for the vehicles. Euro 5, right? It is only under these conditions that you will use this probe input beforehand. Correct? To test all the sensors, the probe before, the probe after, the particulate sensor, and the ammonia sensor. You will always use the input located here after. Correct? So let's now show the particulate sensor. There are several models of particulate sensors available on the market. We've set aside a few here that our equipment is processing. In the next updates, we will also add what hasn't been included yet, right? We are going to update the equipment, okay? The equipment already comes with its own cable for testing, correct? So we need to stay alert. Regarding the numbering, we've added the numbered tags because the number on the tag has to match exactly with the number inside the sensor here, correct? So if we take a close look inside here, there is also the number 1. Now we're going to connect the number 1 that is printed on the tag with the corresponding number 1 that is located on the terminal, okay? All right, let's go ahead. We will set the power supply right here to exactly 14 volts. And then we are going to look for the particulate sensor. Here is the ammonia probe. I chose the wrong one. Here, let's go to the particulate sensor. Particulate matter, okay? Right here, we refer to this as the particulate sensor unit. And then the test begins. At this point, I can also initiate the request to start the report. And please keep in mind that this specific sensor test is completely distinct from the NOx sensor. Notice that we will have 4 separate spaces or 4 test steps. Some have 4, some have 3. We will go through the initial standby phase, the preheating phase 1, then the preheating phase 2, and finally, we will have the active regeneration phase. So this sensor has its own regeneration process. We're going to show this here. When it enters regeneration, it will reach 800 degrees at the tip. You'll see that it will become incandescent, which is a way for the sensor to self-clean. And all of this happens in your vehicle as you drive. And we're simulating all of this on the test bench, right? This is so that you, while working in the workshop, can perform a real-world test, right? And see exactly how the sensor is working. And it's extremely important that at each test step, it shows up here without any faults. So during the 4 steps, the 4 test steps, it has to show up without any faults, meaning there are no faults in any of the test steps. Here then, we're in standby mode. You saw that it heated up a little to remove the moisture from the sensor. So it started this heating process. It will have a PWM that's provided by the control unit itself here of the sensor. And the reading is in microamperes. Look, it's in microamperes, folks. It has to be 0. The function of this sensor in the system is to check the saturation of the particulate filter, the saturation of the DPF. Goodbye. For the DPF, we're going to have the DP, which is the differential pressure sensor. And in addition to DP, we'll have this particulate sensor, which will check the saturation, how dirty this sensor is, through the current that will circulate through the internal blade of the sensor here. It always has to be 0. Always 0. Any value that appears may indicate dirt on the sensor or an anomaly in the sensor. That's why the sensor has the regeneration part. So we've already done the surroundings and preheating. Each of these phases lasts about 90 seconds. Each of these phases will last 90 seconds. And all 4 phases have to be completed and without any failure. So we did the standby, there was no failure. We're doing preheating 1, no failure there either, great. There was no current reading. The temperature went up. So the temperature inside the sensor, it went up. In the sensor part, in this case, 199 degrees, 200 degrees to remove the moisture. So it can get ready to take the reading. Here we can see all of this happening graphically. Here we have the timer counting the 90 seconds. It measured. In this case, this sensor did not do preheating too. It has already gone into regeneration. It went into regeneration. It's already starting. 1 ampere of current, 1.2 amperes. It's becoming incandescent and rising, reaching a temperature of 800 degrees. Can you see that? It reached 800 degrees, 780 degrees. It will reach 800 degrees, close to 800 degrees, which is when it's burning off its internal dirt, doing what we call regeneration. This also lasts 90 seconds and has no phase. And now it has entered the reading phase with no errors. Now it has entered the reading phase. Now is the time when I will see what it is reading. And it keeps reading 0. And that's how it should be. It has to be 0. Any current value it reads means either the sensor is damaged or the sensor is dirty, right? So after a regeneration process, it has to read 0, and there shouldn't be any other reading, just like it is here. The temperature starts to drop when it enters the reading phase. The temperature begins to decrease. You saw that the tip became incandescent. Imagine that happening in the vehicle. It's the same thing, right? So if moisture gets into this sensor, it burns out immediately. There will be a thermal shock in the ceramic, and it burns out instantly. And then immediately after the reading phase is complete, that's it. That marks the official end of the test. After successfully finishing the entire reading phase, if the sensor has no faults at all, and then the temperature starts to drop, then comes the final part of the test. So with that, we went through the 3 steps. In this KD sensor, there were 3 testing steps, and we saw that the sensor didn't show any faults, right? So that's the particulate sensor test. And it's going to be the same way to test all of these units we have right here, right? And what we offer to you today, and in the near future as well, as the automakers release their new models, we'll be sure to keep updating our equipment too. So please keep an eye on our social media, and our sales team will also get in touch with you soon, right? And thank you very much for watching our video, everyone. Leave a like there.